And let's kick things off with our reporter Karinda Jagmohan, who's been watching the developments with regard to the rescue and search teams, as well as Xoli Mngambi, who's also chatting to some of the officials there. This is a situation, again, a race against time. And even though there have been indications that this will evolve from a search and, search and rescue to a search and recovery, hope always abounds, Karinda and Xoli, that there might still be survivors trapped under the rubble. Xoli, I'd love to start with you, just to give us a sense of what you've been witnessing over the course of the day as you've stood there and watched these teams do their work.
Iman, good evening to you. And as you say, it is a race against time. And just moments ago, Iman, I had gone to just grab some coffee. I can tell you that the quiet town of George probably has never witnessed something like this before. And so people, you can tell that they're coming from work, parking their cars just beyond the Victoria Street, which is a few meters away from where we are. So definitely lots of public interest here. And I can tell you that people are in solidarity with the rescue teams that are working tirelessly and have been since Monday night, Iman. And just a few moments ago, reading a statement from one of the trade union federations in the country, SAFTU, saying that they actually commend these teams that are working here. In fact, talking about these teams, Iman, quickly I'm going to bring into the conversation James Smart. He is from the Search and Rescue, the K9 unit. So it's called Search and Rescue South Africa. In fact, he is with one of his fairy friends. These are the guys that get to go inside there, James, whenever you were able to detect sounds from underground. Tell us how they are able to do this, where they're able to detect the scent of a human being.
So the dog's nose is what we're using essentially. Their nose, their sense of smell is vastly superior to ours. A good example would be if you had an Olympic-sized swimming pool and you put a droplet of blood in it, they would be able to smell that blood. Okay, so that gives you, and the scent rises up through the structures, through the collapsed structures, and that's what we use the dog to be able to pick up, and then ideally be able to pinpoint where the victims are.
Very quickly, James, are they able to pick up the scent of a human being, alive or deceased?
Yes, they can differentiate between the two, so they can actually smell the difference between a live person and a deceased person, and they can pick up both of those scents.
Wow. And how much longer do you think? I mean, this is going to go on for a good few days, but what are the chances? I mean, it's a difficult question, and it's one of those that are difficult to answer because it's a sensitive stage of this rescue. But do you think that there is still hope that people who are still alive but buried under this rubble can still be found breathing?
Well, there's been extraordinary circumstances. The earthquake in Turkey a couple of years ago, I think there was someone that survived 12 days underground, if I believe right. So there is hope. I think there is always hope, and the rescue teams are taking it very seriously that the work must be done as if there is someone there.
Thank you very much. James Smart from the K9 Search and Rescue South Africa. And this is his friend. They've been working tirelessly. Thank you so much, and continue the good work. Thank you. All right, Iman, well, a little over 48 hours now, and the search continues, but I'm going to possibly hand you back to you because you are likely to get more information from my colleague Karinda Jagmohan, who has been watching developments, and I can tell you that there is a lot more information to give you at this time. Iman.
What an incredible animal that is Xoli, and perhaps if there's time a little bit later on, we can find out its name and the breed. I'm guessing it's probably an Alsatian is what it looks like. But these dogs are really just incredible. Listening to your expert there talk about the high levels of sensitivity that they have, they are certainly remarkable animals. Thank you so much, Xoli. for bringing us that aspect to these operations, which are complex. And as Xoli was saying there, the trade unions that deal with this particular sector, who understand the gravity and the harrowing nature of this work, lauding the efforts of these multiple teams together. Karinda, as Xoli says, you've also been on the ground and building some dimension around the story for us. We know that families have been spoken to. We know that they're in a location near where you are. Just figuring out what to do tonight in this air and this context of uncertainty and grief. Tell us more.
Indeed, Iman, sadly, the families are watching over the scenes as it unfolds. Fortunately, from the privacy of the municipal chambers, they have a designated area just to be away from the prying eyes of the media, to be comfortable. But how comfortable can you be, really, when you are hoping to see your loved one alive? For the past now more than 48 hours, rescuers have been on the ground. And this morning started a bit slower, and that was because, and we were wondering why there weren't as many rescuers on the ground as you see now, and that was because they were in strategic meetings to determine how to go forward and dig through the concrete slabs. Because at one point, it is still a race against time, but now it's also to ensure the protection of rescuers as well. At about 3:30 today, some of these slabs behind me began moving. My colleague Morena Lekitla will just try and zoom in. And I must also tell you the reason why some of the vehicles are in front of this allocated media space, as we've seen before, is when a deceased person has been found, they blockade the space so that we do not see what is happening there, of course, for the privacy and just the ethics around it. It's unclear whether the person that is currently being searched for is indeed deceased, but at this point, this is the truck blocking our view, and what I can see is a group of rescuers with their helmets looking at one particular area. That is the area where 2 people were found at this time last night, and we were told that there were more people there, but at this point they're still digging deep within the rubble. Now, at about 3:30, some of the concrete slabs began moving, and so the rescue teams had to immediately be pulled out of that area for their own safety. It goes to show how delicate this is, how precarious it still is, and that is why for the better part of this morning they were in strategic meetings to determine what equipment needs to be used. Yesterday, the equipment being used was that to hear what was happening beneath the ground. Right now, there is equipment being used to actually dig out, and that means that before, when we said that when a person was found, they started using their hands to quickly remove the rocks, the rubble. Now they're bringing heavy machinery to lift up the slabs, because we were told earlier today that some are still stuck between the slabs as well. We are given some leeway to show you what is happening here. Now, this is the slabs. These are the slabs I'm talking about. Iman, we were also told that there was one person who's standing in an upright position. Now, at this point, there are reports that by 6 o'clock, we were expected to have a media briefing by disaster management to give an update, because it is a critical time to determine whether it is a search and rescue, a search and recovery. And the family, of course, wants to only know that it's still a rescue. The difference between the two is a rescue looking for survivors. A recovery, Iman, is looking for bodies. And so it's a very difficult thing for disaster teams to come and say that this is now their mission. They've not said it yet. It is still holding on to a glimmer of hope. But also must tell you that a person can only survive without water for 3 days. And in this condition, the person would be extremely dehydrated, claustrophobic, having trouble breathing as well, and so that is a major concern. At some stages, when a person is found, at least yesterday we saw, there was immediate medical help being sent to them, and that meant that there were drips coming in, lowered down to the hole where the person was stuck in, drips being sent down, some life-saving treatment, urgent treatment, before they were able to safely lift up the person, take them on a stretcher, make sure they're okay, to the ambulance and then to hospital. Among one of of those survivors yesterday was the son of Dion Schaefer's, Dalvin Schaefer's, and he was stuck beneath this rubble for 35 hours at that time. We had spoken to his father. He was rescued around this time yesterday as well, and he's recovering, but he said he wanted accountability. So that is the next step going forward, especially as this mission continues. We do expect more officials on the ground, specifically provincial and national officials, to start answering the questions that many people have, not just the families, critically the families, but also those who have been watching, who understand that this is one of the biggest tragedies with regards to a structural collapse that the country has seen, where 7 people are confirmed dead. We know 36 people were retrieved from this rubble, and of that, 7 people were confirmed dead, 16 in a critical condition, 6 people facing life-threatening injuries. 39 of those 75 workers that were here on Monday morning, they went to their job, 39 of them are still missing, trapped beneath this rubble, and some of the operation continues right now. We've been waiting for that media briefing, and earlier on, Xoli alluded to some of the supporters that are here. So just down the road, there's a barricade, but there are many members of the public that are there who say they came because they couldn't even sleep last night, knowing that this was happening in their town, something that they've never seen before, a tragedy they never thought would happen. So in the next hour, I also want to take you to them, but we are on standby for that media briefing. So it is still a fluid situation as it has been since Monday, and it will be. I'll be here until 11 o'clock giving you hourly briefings because it is so critical, and I must tell you that the atmosphere is still the same. One where at times it's extremely quiet because there's a call for silence as rescues are going through the rubble, and when there is a survivor found breathing, there's a moment of applause, but I haven't heard that since yesterday. I hope that we're going to hear it today at least.
Karinda, as you paint that picture, a nation's, that our nation effectively is holding its breath tonight for any news, and hopefully positive news, that you could even hear potentially some celebration at the site of that accident. And we'll see, as Karinda says, she is there throughout the rest of the night. Xoli, I believe you will also be there as well. So we're keeping close to the story for you, even as Karinda says, the community has turned out in a show of support as well.